fear nothing!
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jaded, and I have a belly full of delicious watermelon. In fact, after this, I'm probably gonna go get some more. So, I just wanted to go over my thoughts and how I'm playing patch 1.0.3. After playing it for a few days, you know, I wanted to get in there and play with it before going over you guys with the details on how it actually played out. Because I've done my fair share of speculation videos on patches and upcoming things, and I actually wanted to go in and just give some of my thoughts after playing the content. I'll go over just the major points of the patch. I think, you know, this patch is so big and there's so many little tiny things that have been changed. I'm just gonna go over the big ones and try to cover as much as I can in this video. So if you notice in the background, me and my friend here, my Demon Hunter friend, we're going through and trying out Act 1. We're trying to see if Act 1's actually viable or the best place to farm. And I'm running around in strictly magic find gear because that's how kind of hard these mobs hit. I don't have to be super stressed out and worried about dying. Because, you know, not only is Act 1 easy, but overall they've pretty much nerfed the damage on every single mob. In my tanking gear, I can tank Act 3 no problem, like it's pretty easy mode now. Yeah, I'm tanking Act 1 here in just Magic Find gear because I don't do damage anyways. You know, the Demon Hunter does all the damage, and he's even wearing like 50% of his Magic Find gear, just, you know, a small amount, just because he can. And we're just seeing if we get the same amount of drops that we do in Act 3, or maybe even better. Because it's just a lot less stressful and just kind of a lot smoother of gameplay. You know, you don't die all the time. Not only that, but I'm going to be selling off all my tanking gear, and I'm going to be trying to go like a dual wield spec, or maybe switch up to a different class. I haven't fully decided yet, but I want to try something different because tanking is just to the point where I don't do any damage and I'm not dying. So it's fine, but, you know, I just kind of want to try something different because the mobs do hit a lot. They hit for a lot less, like, spiky damage, which is what they wanted with this patch. So there's none of that, you know, 100k hits. It's all pretty mellow now. So if you guys don't know, what they did was they made, you know, the item level 63 stuff available in Act 1. You know, what they say, a 2% drop rate. In Act 2, you're getting a 4% drop rate. In Act 3 and 4, you're getting an 8% drop rate. Now, a lot of people were saying there was a hidden nerf that came along with this. So, yeah, they're dropping more in Act 1 and Act 2, but there was actually a reduction in the later acts. And so, overall, it's dropping less, but because more people are farming it, you know, what the auction house sees is relatively the same. I don't know if that's the case. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. But, you know, this whole patch kind of feels like a middle of the road. We're not quite there, but we're almost there type of patch. We can't get all this, you know, content done, all the patches, all the updates that we want to get done into patch 1.0.3, but we kind of hit this middle of the road where, you know, the game doesn't quite feel finished yet still. And so that's probably like what I'll title this video is like, we are almost there. And, you know, there's a lot of negativity that came from this patch, specifically, you know, the repair costs, if you guys didn't know about that, but they significantly bumped up the repair costs. And to the point where they were talking about going back in and lowering the repair costs on just when you take damage, because you do take durability loss when you're just out there fighting monsters. And so they're gonna drop that back because they notice it's just a bit too much. They only want it for really when you're dying. And then also there was some negativity around the attack speed debuff, or attack speed decrease, I should say. You know, some demon hunters were losing like 50k DPS. Some wizards were losing like 20k. Some, you know, like everybody was losing a significant amount, I can't say that word, of DPS. and there was a big backlash from that, I would say. But you know, on that specific one, I feel like it was something that was needed because attack speed was basically outweighing crit chance and crit damage combined. Like, I don't have the exact math behind it, but people were going attack speed over, you know, the better crit chance, crit damage style for two reasons. One, it just feels better to move fast, you know, to have your animations speed up. And also, it's just cheaper, right? It's just cheaper for that one stat, and a lot easier to get gear with it. So they went in and nerfed that, and if you had any weapons that had attack speed, their DPS got, you know, decreased as well, obviously. So I guess you could say you lost money on stuff like that. It's a real bummer for people who went on the real money auction house and got things like Gandaro's Visage. You know, anything with attack speed is now just gonna pretty much be worth less. It's still a good stat, like, you know, don't think otherwise. And it's the only way to speed up your animations. So it's still a good stat, it's just like not as overpowered as it once was. It was really the end all of like DPS stats. Like, you didn't need crit chance and crit damage specifically to get by, to clear content. So, you know, it was a good change, but it really like hurt some people. And so there was a little bit of backlash there. Me, myself, playing a barbarian, I have 0 attack speed now anyways. So I didn't feel the effects of it. However, since I duo with a demon hunter, he pretty much does all the damage, and I pretty much tank all the damage, so stop him from dying and he kills everything, and it worked out really well. But since this patch, it was really bumpy at first. And you know, we started off doing Act 3 again, and we didn't enjoy it at all. Like, we were running into packs that just weren't as easy to down with less DPS. They're easier for me to tank, but overall it's just like something was off. It didn't feel good. Demon Hunters got nerfed pretty hard. If you guys know, their nether tentacles got a huge nerf, and it's pretty much useless now, so people have to switch up their builds. And on that specific one, I feel like it was a good thing, but again, it's this like middle of the road patch where, yes, it nerfed nether tentacles, which was overpowered and I think was kind of the end all skill that everybody was using. But now what you're seeing is people trying to branch out and vary up their skills, which is a good thing. The problem is everything else isn't that great. And we probably tried like every single skill, every single rune in the Demon Hunter's arsenal before we just, you know, went back to Ball Lightning or whatever that one's called. It's the same playstyle as Nether Tentacles, it just does less damage. But I don't know, we'll have to play with it some more, and maybe we'll be happy with something else. But in the meantime, I feel like we're in this like I don't know, limbo zone, or like area where they need to go and buff other skills before they just nerf everything, because I don't know, it just makes everything feel worse. It doesn't make stuff feel better, and because of that, it really feels like they're sucking out the fun of the game. And a lot of people feel that way, you know, when you nerf stuff and don't like buff stuff. That's kind of the general gist that occurs with the patch. So I'm really hoping that the skill buffs start coming out really soon, so that we could play around with more viable builds. We can have a lot more fun in the game. You know, I just hope that stuff comes soon, because people are getting bummed out and it's really too bad. So, you know, the crafting stuff was really nice. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it was nice to go in there and you know, update all my old square gems. Into new ones for really cheap. I think that was a smart choice. So they also changed how bosses work, and how you don't necessarily just want to go get 5 stacks Nefaller and then, you know, kill a boss, because across the board it's pretty much even now. Bosses drop about the same loot as champion packs and the like. So we were just roaming around, you know, waypoints and trying to find as many packs that we could. Yes, in Act 1 they were dropping a lot of garbage, And I've heard, you know, pretty much throughout that they're just dropping a ton of junk. But now they drop a lot more rares, so you're kind of getting a lot more garbage, but you're getting it more frequently. So I don't know. I guess there's sort of a mental trade-off there of I'm getting a lot of yellow things, but they're not all that good. But again, that could be the Act 1 just being really poor. But I've heard, you know, in Act 3 it's very similar. I've yet to really test it out. I did, you know, farm there, like I said, a little bit. But also with bosses, they went in and tweaked a bunch of mechanics with them. Gom is actually a really hard boss now, and I don't know if they intended it like that, but he's kind of ridiculous now. You need a lot of DPS to down him before he gets out of hand, because what happens is, and they did this for a bunch of bosses, there's kind of like a soft enrage timer where these gas clouds that he puts one on himself and then on another player, and you have to move out of them as quickly as you can, because the longer you're in them, the more damage you take. And so, and because of this, it's kind of a soft enrage, because the whole room quickly fills up with this gas, and you really have nowhere to go. So Gom's actually kind of a pain now, and they added in other kind of strange boss mechanics. So for Siegebreaker, they saw that he was being farmed way too much, I guess, and so they just straight up put reflect damage on him, like kind of bizarre there. And pretty much all bosses across the board got some kind of boost or some kind of, you know, enrage mechanic. I have to say I'm not a big fan of enrage on anything in this game. For bosses, it kind of makes sense, but on the same hand, it doesn't, because each class, like if you look at a barb, right? A barb's gonna take forever to kill a boss in tank gear, whereas demon hunters are killing it, you know, in minutes or less. So I've yet to go and solo any of these bosses, but I have to imagine it's not fun. You know, Siegebreaker enrages after 4 minutes. Belial enrages after 3 minutes. Zoltan Kuhl enrages after 3 minutes. You know, there's a theme here of you have to kill the boss within 3 or 4 minutes before it enrages. But there is also some good here, like with Izzy. They reduced his charge damage, which was far too much. And you know, there's a good list of fixes. I guess you could call them nerfs on bosses as well. But things like that really help the game kind of feel a bit more, what's the word? I guess you could say consistent. And then for, you know, specific mob types, things like the lickers, those are now under control. Even the succubus, like, they run away less, and they don't run for as long. So a lot of tweaks on like the AI of annoying mobs, which is really cool. Like Herald of Pestilence, you guys know those things in Act 3 that do the green pools on the ground. Those do like no damage to me now, and that's really nice, because before that, like if you stood in that for like over a second, even, you know, as a tank barb, it hurt like a bitch. So there's a lot of good things here, and you know, the game's heading in the right direction, but like I said, it just really feels like we're at the middle of the road again with this patch, and people are looking for like the next step, you know what I mean? They're looking for class balancing so they can, you know, use all their skills, and just like the ability to feel comfortable with where you're farming in the game, because that's been messed with so much since this game's come out. Like chests now you can't even use Magic Find on, and I have to imagine a patch after this they're gonna remove the ability to switch to Magic Find gear. Like I have to imagine that's coming at some point. I'm sure they know about it, they're just waiting for the right time to put it in. And also things like barrels no longer drop anything, they're like useless. So doing like the jar thing is pointless. Doing ponies now, like Inferno ponies, is kind of bad because you can't like put Magic Find gear on and open the clouds. So there's been a lot of nerfing of spots to farm. It really has just made players feel uncomfortable because they don't really know what's the best and what's good to do. So, you know, I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm gonna keep cracking away at farming, because you really have to put your mind to it. You have to have a goal in mind. And, you know, for me, if you guys didn't see, I'm working towards building a new PC, and I really want to sell some stuff on the real money auction house, so that motivates me. Try new skills, new builds, you know, all that good stuff, new locations. You know, one thing you guys might like that might help motivate you is if you're maybe interested in the PvP, to work towards getting a PvP set together. You know, trying to farm maybe as much gold as you can before PvP comes out so you can get a good PvP set going on. You know, whatever it takes to motivate you, you know, come up with something, some goal in mind, and it really helps with things like this where you get bombed out because a patch nerfs your DPS, or you know, you can't farm the same spot you used to. So I'm sure I missed like 20 little things with this patch. There's really so much that they did. It's kind of impressive how many little things they changed within the game. So that's a good thing, and I really feel like this patch is headed in the right direction. Like I said, it's really a middle-of-the-road patch. So anyways, hope you enjoyed listening, you know, me ramble on about my feelings towards the patch. If you guys are struggling with your class and don't know what to do, you know, I strongly suggest checking out like Reddit, or trying to find other people in similar situations that are, you know, trying to come up with new builds or new gear. Or even leave a comment and I'll help, or someone else I'm sure will help if you're struggling. So thanks for watching, guys. That's gonna do it for me. I'll catch you guys next time.